Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Back at it again. It's the state of football. No, it's the football playbook with your boy RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella still getting used to it. 36 episodes in here on this Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. And we appreciate all the fans who followed us over from the state of football, my former show, and onto my new show, the Football Playbook on JAKIB Sports YouTube channel here Monday through Friday. 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time. It's 12 hours of can't stop, won't stop Eagles coverage here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button while you're here. Always good to see our chat room people and waking up to Adam's exploits and friends over there. So, hey, it is week number 7, Eagles bye week, undefeated Philadelphia. Philadelphia, the city is full of brotherly love. It's rocking. It's playoff baseball time. It's fall football season. You got the Sixers and Flyers getting ready to kick off. I heard they even play soccer here in Philadelphia, they tell me. So, hey, Danny D, what up? Shout out to all of our viewers here today. We got 2 hours of power. Buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair. And we've got a very good week lined up the rest of the way here. In case you got some bye week blues, the Eagles, we saw the bye weeks kick in this week on the NFL docket. And this week, the Eagles will go into the bye as they prepare for the in-state Pittsburgh Steelers. And will we see Kenny Pickett, who entered the concussion protocol? Will we see Lane Johnson against Pittsburgh, who is also in the concussion protocol? And for Lane Johnson, maybe a little bit more serious, considering that this is his third concussion over the last, his third concussion suffered in the last 5 years. And Mike Selesky, I think, had the article. You wonder how many concussions he had that went undiagnosed. And then you take a look at Tua Tagovailoa, who's still in the concussion protocol in the NFL and NFLPA, making those adjustments with the refurbished concussion protocol. I guess there's a 5-stage process for the concussion protocol that players have to get through. And so Lane Johnson will have 2 weeks to get cleared. But you wonder, with a guy like Lane Johnson, who's been through a lot, both on and off the field, maybe a little bit more conscious of the concussion protocol. Maybe a little bit more conscious as a veteran, a little bit more focus on his post-playing career. It's a scary thing, guys. It really is. Head trauma is a scary thing. And you've got to wonder how this third concussion on the record will impact Lane Johnson long term and short term. And that's the priority here, first and foremost, is for his personal welfare and his personal being. And Ric Serritella was asked about it in his press conference yesterday. I'll get into that, but said we don't have an update on Lane, but if Lane Johnson is healthy, it will be Lane Johnson who starts. If. It's a pretty big if. Really. I know Steelers are still, 2 weeks away, 10 days away, whatever it may be. Lane Johnson will need to pass the concussion protocol, and he'll need to hurdle that mental barrier, which I'm not inside Lane Johnson's head. I don't know how great or significant of a factor that is, but I think it's worth some consideration here as we enter the Eagles bye week. Now, I will say this: Jason Kelce post game did say Andre Dillard's getting healthy, and maybe gave us an inkling as to what to expect in terms of how Dillard is used, because he also said it might be a good idea to let Andre focus on one side of the ball and get back into the routine with one side of the ball, because that would be a smoother transition. So for Jason Kelce to come out and say that tells me there's a good chance maybe that's been discussed internally. And so if Lane Johnson can't go against the Steelers, then I have a feeling you'll see Andre Dillard start at right tackle, opposite of Jordan Mailata. So, that's kind of where my head is at going into the bye week, making sure Lane Johnson is cool mentally, physically, and then also making sure that we don't take our foot off the gas pedal, right? All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. And that was a topic to do. And it's been a pretty common theme here through the first 6 games. I mean, we've talked about the point differential. The second quarter, I think it was like plus 85 coming into that Cowgirls game. It's probably like plus 100 in the second quarter scoring differential. But the Eagles are scoring 21 points per game in the first half and just 5.8 points per game in the second half. Not going to get it done over the long course. That's just not going to get it done, scoring 5.8 points per game in the second half. And I see the chat room people waking up with us. Adam Exploits, Danny D, Philly 559, Luchis, the show. Showtime says, no way Dillard starts at right tackle. Richard Rosanio, what's up, Paisano? Checking in from East Hanover, New Jersey. Adams Exploits, how about them Eagles? And you saw Sariani, who doesn't lack fire. He doesn't lack energy, that's for sure. But you saw Sariani, how about them Cowboys, on his way back into the locker room. And I'm telling you, it's not the last time you heard from Dallas. Christmas Eve, I've got it circled right here. I've got it circled in the notebook, in the playbook. You see that circle there in the middle of the page? That's Dallas. Christmas Eve. Give Philadelphia fans an early present. Because quite frankly, when I look at the schedule, that's the biggest test on the schedule. This Dallas team did not go away. That defense Kelsey, I heard him say after the game, that is a fast and physical defense. Kelsey really emphasized the speed that this Dallas defense has. It's serious. It's real. I'm telling you, this Dallas on the come around, and Dak Prescott will be back this week against the Lions. This Dallas team is going to be tough. I think it's going to be the toughest game the rest of the way. At home against the Steelers, I know they beat Tampa Bay this past week. And Tom Brady came out and said, it's a long day when there's more F-bombs than touchdowns. Yeah, Tom. Maybe you should pay attention to your former coach, Billy Belichick there, because he too got the invitation to Robert Kraft's in-season wedding this weekend. But you know what? Billy boy, he was there for the Patriots walkthrough on Saturday. He didn't skip out on his team. He didn't turn his back on his team. Nope. In fact, the Patriots, coming off a shutout, they shut down the Cleveland Browns backfield. They held Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to under 70 yards rushing 1 week after shutting out the Lions. Tom Brady, conspicuously absent from the Tampa Bay walkthrough. Doesn't shock me that the Steelers caught you off guard there, Tommy boy. Buckle up. I get it. You're 45. You want to take advantage of some of the finer things that life has to offer. Well, there are no times for your personal time during the NFL season. Get it? If that was the case, maybe you should have stayed retired. Just saying. So, Pittsburgh, October 30th, that's a W. At Houston, November 3rd, that seems like a W. How about the Washington Commanders? That feels like a W. And don't look now. Man, Commanders are in trouble. Woo. Jake Fromm, the big free agent signing yesterday for the Washington Commanders, basically confirming Carson Wentz is going to miss at least a month, maybe two. And by then, the Commanders will be mathematically eliminated. They'll be moving on from Tyler Haneke. I think Sam Howell will get the start in that game. How about November 20th at Indianapolis? That could be a sneaky game. That could be the quote-unquote trap game, right? Good friend Frank Wright on the road in Indianapolis. We saw them with the big fourth quarter comeback. Matty Ice working some magic there. Late game heroics to Alec Pierce, who I think is a player. Hey, this November 20th at Indianapolis, I think that'll be a tough matchup. It's 1 week before Green Bay. November 20th, I think that's the next real test that your Eagles face. Pittsburgh, Houston, Washington. Home versus Pittsburgh, at Houston, home versus Washington. That's a sweep. That will put the Eagles at 9-0. Heading into Indianapolis, tough one. That's a tough one. And really, that's the toughest stretch of the season, because once they get to 9-0, after they take care of business against the Steelers, Texans, and Commanders, then they enter a 4-game stretch where we're going to find out what this team's about. Because you've got at Indianapolis, then you come home versus Green Bay Thanksgiving week. Then you're at home versus last year's number 1 seed in the AFC, December 4th, at home versus Tennessee. And then you go on the road up the turnpike here to the Meadowlands and face the Giants in Jersey. That, to me, and listen, everybody wants to see them go undefeated, right? They're undefeated till they ain't. If you can get through that 4-game stretch going 3-1, I think that is the goal. I see the schedule breaking down into 3 parts. The easy part, which is Steelers, Texans, Commanders, should put them at 9-0. Then the gauntlet at Indy versus Green Bay versus Tennessee, all 3 playoff teams. Then at the Giants, who are, dare I say, the biggest surprise early on in the NFL. So that's the second part. That's the gauntlet. So you got the easy part, the gauntlet. So they should go 3-0 with the easy part. I'm looking at 3-1 in the gauntlet. And then you've got the third part of the rest of the schedule, which is at Chicago, at Dallas, at New Orleans. So the final stretch will be a little bit of road warrior mentality, which will be a nice preparation for playoff football. At Chicago, at Dallas, at New Orleans. And I think if you go 2-1 there, right? Because at Chicago could be tough. At Dallas, we know will be tough. At New Orleans, never easy. And I'll tell you what, this January 8th, I circled the Dallas game on December 24th. Hold on. Let me circle this one. January 8th. I got 2 circles in the playbook. Because this January 8th, the way the 5-1 Giants are playing, yeah, Richard, Rosania, Paisan, the Beasts of the East, I think you're going to see 3 teams from the NFC East make the playoffs. 3. Because the Dallas Cowboys at 4-2, I think are the second best team in the NFC. If I had to guess, they probably go 7-4 the rest of the way. So I've got the Cowboys at 11 victories. I say the Giants at 5-1, even if they play losing football, which I think they might. They might go 5-6 the rest of the way, and they still win 10 games. 10 games is pretty good, right? 10 games should get you into the postseason. So I think the Cowboys go 7-4. I think the Giants go 5-6. That puts 3 teams in the NFC East into double digits. And this January 8th game at home against the Giants, the Eagles might not be resting their starters, guys. They might be playing for home field advantage. They might be playing for the division. Heck, if the Giants go 6-5, this last game against Philly is going to mean something. So I've got the Eagles, even if they lose one of the games against the Giants, I've still got them at 13 victories right now. No, 14. 14 victories. I forgot. We're at a 17-game schedule. So, to me, this next 3-game stretch versus the Steelers, at the Texans, versus the Commanders, they should go 3-0. That puts them at 9-0. Then you've got at Indy, home against the Packers, home against the Titans, at the Giants. 3-1. I think 3-1 is the goal, but they might have some mishaps. They might go 2-2 there. So even if, let's just call it 2-2. That would put them at 11-2 into the final stretch. That final 4-game stretch, they should go 11-2, and they'll be at Chicago, at Dallas, at New Orleans, tested late in the season on the road. I like that. And then home against the Giants. So you figure 11-2 going into that 4-game stretch. Again, even if they go 2-2 there, they're going to win 13, 14 ball games. It'll be hard. If they win fewer than 13 games, there might be some panic in Philadelphia. Really. This team should not lose more than 4 games at 6-0. So even if they went 7-4, they still finished with 13 victories. 007 says 15-2, and they'll be resting the starters the last 2 games. I don't know. I don't know about that. Remember, the NFC East has the best record in the NFL right now. We're a third of the way through the season. Even if the Giants drop off, the Giants are 5-1. Even if they go 3-6, their next 9 games, they'll still be 8-7. Like, the Giants aren't going away. So I don't know if they'll be resting their starters the final 2 games. I'd lean more towards that January 8th game against the Giants meaning something. I'd lean more towards that game meaning something rather than leaning towards the Eagles resting their starters. I don't know if that's going to happen. I got to find out who Dallas plays week 17. Because that might also come into play. Who do the Cowboys have the final week? That might also factor into the equation. I'm pulling it up now. Dallas at the Commanders, January 8th. So Eagles drew the short straw. Eagles host the Giants, Cowboys at the Commanders. And I'll tell you what, real quick, the Cowboys' final 4 games at Jacksonville, tough game. Hosting the Eagles, tough game. At Tennessee, tough game. And then versus the Commanders. So 3 out of those final 4 games are going to be tough games for the Cowgirls. Okay? Now, I won't rule out the Eagles running the table. I think there's an outside possibility they can go undefeated. It's very tough. And I'll keep saying it. They're undefeated till they ain't. When they're 9-0 heading into Indy, that's halfway through the season. When they're 9-0 heading into Indy, that means they've won 9 in a row. All they got to do is win 8 more in a row. So they'll be halfway home. Confidence is a big, big deal in the National Football League, 007. Confidence and coaching matters. That's the difference in the Meadowlands. That's the same team as last year. That's the same team as a year ago. Plus Kayvon Thibodeau. And now they're 5-1 because Brian Daboll's a pretty damn good coach. He's proven that much. And when you're a pretty damn good coach and you exude confidence, it trickles down and rubs off on your team. That's what you're seeing there with the Giants. Because Daniel Jones is still a terrible quarterback. But they figured out a way to limit his mistakes and put players in a situation to succeed. Something Sariani's done a masterful job at. And so I'll get into more shenanigans from around the league. We'll dive into the Nick Sirianni press conference from yesterday. We got a lot of news and notes in the football playbook. I've also thought heading into the bye week, it'd be good to look at who are the most valuable players thus far on your Philadelphia Eagles, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. It might surprise you. I'll dig into that after we pay some bills. Make sure you smash the like button, click subscribe on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We're just getting started here on the Football Playbook this Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. We'll be back right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC and a place to be. Yeah, at the Jersey Shore, broadcasting around the universe on the Football Playbook. You're home for real Eagles talk. You're home for real football talk. And we'll get into some of that Monday Night Football action. I called it called my shot. I said, give me the Chargers to win. Broncos with the points, 4.5. It'll be a field goal kind of game. And that it was into overtime. Lot of trickle-down ramifications and the whole Russell Wilson fallout. Now he's got another excuse with the hamstring last night. I'll get into some of that later on in the show, but we're still focused on our undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, your number 1 seed in the National Football League and your number 1 team atop the RIC rankings. I've got the Eagles 1, the Bills 2, and the Chiefs 3. That is your cream of the crop of the National Football League. Those are your tier 1 contenders. Everybody else is looking up. Everybody else is looking up. William Stark, thank you for joining the show. Shout out to all our chat room people. 007, Showtime, Sammy Chan, Espo, good to see you. Alexander, Showtime, Stephen Day. A lot of people chopping it up, all excited about the Philadelphia Eagles. Bird Gang, what up, peeps? Show your boys some love while you're here. Smash that like button. We appreciate it. And some of you think the Lions can beat the Cowboys this week. I don't know. Dak Prescott's coming back, and the differential of quality play at the quarterback position, despite Cooper Rush and his 5-1 record as a starter, the Eagles exposed him for the fraud that he is on Sunday. How about this stat line? And Cooper Rush was so terrible, guys. When he needed to make a big play downfield, he couldn't. And he lacks, we talked about how big confidence is. He lacks the confidence to throw the ball downfield because he knows he can't complete it. He can't do it. Richard Rosani, I never forget my paisanos. Alexander Freeman, you know that. Rusty Dak Alexander, I don't know. I think he's chomping at the bit. I think he's chomping to come out and make a statement. I think the Cowboys could put up a lot of points against the Lions this week. Now, Cooper Rush, the first quarterback in a decade. This is how bad the Eagles pulverized Cooper Rush on Sunday. He's the first quarterback in a decade to complete less than 50% of his passes, throw for less than 200 yards, and throw 3 interceptions. The last quarterback to do that, it happened 10 years ago. And I think it was a first-round pick. You'll never guess. For being a first-round pick, I'm pretty sure he was a first-round pick, an older one. For being a first-round pick, his name has been forgotten pretty quickly from the record books. Quarterback Brandon Whedon of your Cleveland Browns in 2012. The last quarterback to have such a stinky stat line. Troy Aikman, by the way, is the last Cowboys quarterback to do it. In 1991, the infamous rookie season, Aikman also threw for less than 50%, under 200 yards, and 3 interceptions against your Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles won that game 24-0, by the way. And to add insult to injury, they sacked Troy Boy 11 times, just for good measure. I saw Troy Aikman announcing the game on Amazon the other day. He looked like he was still wiping out the cobwebs from that game. I've got notes from Ric Sirianni's press conference yesterday, but I'm kind of excited to unveil my top 5 most valuable Eagles players on offense and defense. So let's do that one first. Have a little bit of fun. By the way, tomorrow we'll have Eddie Kratz from Eagles Today and Kayla Santiago from Delmarva Sports talking more Eagles football, but I'm going to start off on defense. We'll go the top 5 most valuable players for your Philadelphia Eagles as we enter the bye week. And Ric Serritella said they're going to do a lot of assessing. They're going to do a lot of prioritizing, and they're going to make a hit list of what they need to get better at. I'm going to tell you my top 5 most valuable Eagles players through the first 6 weeks. You ready? Number 5, I'm starting off knowing that I'm going to take some criticism. I'm going to probably take some heat for my 5th most valuable player on the Eagles defense this year. And he's only played not even a third of the snaps. But when he's in there, it's like ragu. It's in there. And Jordan Davis changes the whole complexion of the Eagles defense when he's in there. When Jordan Davis is in there, lined up at nose tackle, over the center, it just opens up the possibilities for Jonathan Gannon and the defensive playbook. Because I really like the last 2 weeks with Fletcher Cox and Jordan Hargrave lining up on each side of Jordan Davis with this 5-man front. Jordan Davis, to me, is the X factor of the Eagles defense. When he's in there, the other team is accounting for that. When Jordan Davis is in there, opponents are game planning for that. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times, Jordan Davis has got 2 bodies on him. And when he doesn't, he's making plays in the run game. He's stuffing the run. He's clogging the holes. But, man, this guy, what he's meant to the Eagles defense has been invaluable. Because when he eats space or engulfs double team, sometimes triple team coverage, you got guys like TJ Edwards and Kaiser White shooting the gaps, opening up the lanes. The whole defense opens up because of Jordan Davis. So I get it. He's only played about a third of the snaps, not even a starter. But to me, when you're talking about most valuable players on the defensive side of the ball, Jordan Davis comes in at number 5 for me. And I do think he'll see more snaps, and I do think he'll be a starter come playoff time. Number 4. And really, number 4 and number 3, you could flip-flop. At number 4, I'm going to put the hometown hero, Haason Reddick. Welcome back, my friend. You've been a stud. Okay, Jordan Davis, by the way, 12 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection. I get it. He's not lighting up the stat box. But, man, that guy is valuable. He is valuable, Jordan Davis. Number 4 for me is Reddick. 14 tackles, but 4.5 of them are sacks. And to me, Reddick sets the edge. And he sets the tone of this defense. And he's got his finger on the pulse, being a Camden product. He understands it. First year with the Eagles, but he spent his whole life in the Philadelphia culture. He gets it. Reddick gets it, and it feels like he's been there forever. It does. Now, early on in the season, first game and a half, he was a little bit invisible, right? We came back after that week 1 game and said, I haven't seen Haason Reddick except for the back of the milk carton. Since then, he's been on fire, guys. 4.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. We talk about all these sack masters on the Eagles, and Fletcher Cox, I think, has got 3, and Josh Sweat, I think, has got 3. Brandon Graham has got 3, but Reddick is the guy back in the backfield, applying the pressure and leading the charge. We'll get to the back end secondary play in a minute. The pressure that Reddick brings up front is a big reason why that Eagles secondary is playing so good. And, you know, does a great pass rush evolve from great pass coverage? Or does great pass coverage evolve from great pass rush? It's the chicken or the egg argument. Haason Reddick, what he's brought to this team off of the edge, 4.5 sacks, that puts him on pace for about 15. That's what they're paying him to do. Get after the quarterback. So, to me, Jordan Davis is 5, Haason Reddick is 4, and TJ Edwards, I've got him at 3. 14 tackles this week against the Cowgirls. 55 tackles on the season. 35 or 36 of them solo, but TJ Edwards has cleaned up and mopped up the mess. He's in there on the run game. 4 tackles for loss. Oh, by the way, he too has a pair of sacks. 3 pass deflections. Batting down balls. Getting his hands on passes. Oh, by the way, playing all the special team snaps. This is a 4-down player. Is there anything TJ Edwards can't do? You know, they got a comeback player of the year award in the NFL. Maybe they should have a most improved player of the year award because TJ Edwards is it. Here's a guy who set a career high in tackles a season ago. He had 66 tackles last year, which was a career high. Through 6 games, TJ Edwards already has 55 tackles. Are you kidding me? This guy might lead the league in tackles. He's on pace for 175 tackles, TJ Edwards is. He has been rock solid in the middle of that defense. And quite frankly, I don't know if he's come off the field yet. I'm pretty sure TJ Edwards has played every single snap on defense this season. And I would bet at least 50%, if not more, of the special team snaps. This guy, I mean, when you talk about most improved player, undrafted, career high, 66 tackles last year, 55 through 6 games, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 pass deflections. This guy's gotten good. Not just good, real good. TJ Edwards is the real deal. Okay? Now, I've got Jordan Davis at 5, Haason Reddick at 4, TJ Edwards as 3 in terms of most valuable players on the defensive side of the ball. And just like I said, you could flip-flop Reddick or Edwards. They've both made a huge impact. The next 2 guys, I think you can also state a case for flip-flopping. And Espo, great minds think alike. Espo, I know it hurts in the chat room. Great minds think alike. James Bradbury, I said it on yesterday's show. Out of all the offseason acquisitions, Haason Reddick, A.J. Brown, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Kaiser White, Jordan Davis, the list goes on and on and on. There has not been a more impactful offseason addition than what James Bradberry has meant to this Philadelphia Eagles defense and team. He's just added a whole nother element. Having 1A and 1B lockdown corners has changed the whole dynamic of this defense. Maybe there's a reason why 5 Eagles have 3 sacks. It's because the coverage is so good. The lockdown coverage is so good that when you cover man-to-man, and we talked about it against the Cowboys, 40% of the defensive snaps in man-to-man coverage, this is a luxury, quite frankly, that I don't think any other NFL team has. Go find me the cornerback duo that's as good as Slay and Bradberry. It doesn't exist, guys. He was the number 1 corner on the Giants, and now he's come and kind of been that 1B. And listen, only 15 tackles, but 9 pass deflections through 6 games. 2 interceptions. Of course, the big pick 6 for a touchdown. Bradberry's got 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a pass deflection. Wow. Bradberry's playing lights out, and you could state a case. You could state a case that Bradberry is the most valuable defensive player. He's been that good. And when Slay was out, Bradberry stepped right up. The Eagles defense really didn't skip a beat. Really didn't skip a beat. However, you did see when Slay is out, you can be picked on. They found ways. Christian Kirk, the Jaguars, I think, found ways to make big plays. It's been there when Slay's out. And that's why, to me, while he's probably missed more snaps and played fewer snaps than my first 4 guys on the list, to me, in terms of being the most valuable, Darius Slay, he's put himself in the conversation as the top lockdown corner in the league. And yes, I agree, Espo. I know it hurts in the chat room. Slay was overlooked for a long time because he was on a terrible, terrible Detroit Lions team. And I heard him say the other day, he's never been 6-0 in his life, so it feels great. Don't tell Darius Slay that he doesn't want to hear 6-0, because he's never been 6-0 in his life, and he's loving every second of it. By the way, he said, hey, our whole game plan last week was to stop the run in the first half and force Cooper Rush to throw it in the second half, because we know good things come to those who wait. Good things come when you put Cooper Rush in a situation to have to throw the ball. So he said, hey, that was the game plan all along. Darius Big Play Slay is your most valuable player on the defensive side of the ball. And if you don't believe me, listen to what Ric Serritella said yesterday in his presser. They asked him about Darius Slay and the leadership. And he said, Darius Slay has been one of the best team leaders he's ever been around in his life. In his life. Darius Slay is one of the best team leaders I've ever been around, says Ric Serritella. And he talks about the mentorship on and off the field. Whatever you need, I got you. If it's staying after practice, he said Slay's been there with veterans. He's been there with rookies. And he's been there with everybody in between, staying after practice, taking guys under his wing. And a lot of these offseason acquisitions, Slay said, hey, we welcome them in like family. It's more than football. It's more than football when it comes to leadership. And Sariani talks about, hey, this guy just knows what it takes. He sees a teammate with nowhere to go on Thanksgiving. You know who the first player is to offer him an invite over to his house on Thanksgiving? Darius Slay. Any Eagle with no place to go last year went to Darius Slay's house. Said, guys, their car's broken down. They don't have a way to get home. You know who the first guy is to volunteer and give up their ride or their vehicle? Darius Slay. He's that guy. Darius Slay is that dude. Don't take my word for it. That's Ric Serritella talking. Not this paisan. That's a different paisan. And it brings me back to this great quote that I saw circulating early on in the season, and I've talked about it on this show. It's been a couple weeks since I mentioned it. And we got the Steelers on deck, October 30th, coming out of the bye. But Mike Tomlin's quote is starting to really resonate with me. He said, in case you're a first-time listener here on the Football Playbook, smash the like button while you're here. Tomlin said, how can you expect unique results in this great game of football without having unique relationships? It's so true, guys. Think about it. This great game of football is so hard. It involves so much strategy and studying and dedication and self-discipline. How could you possibly expect unique results without having unique relationships? And that, my friends, is what Darius Slay brings, not just to the playing field, but behind closed doors in the locker room. It's called the X factor. It's called the intangibles when it comes to leadership. And I'm sure we'll talk about how it relates to Jalen Hurts on the offensive side of the ball when I do my top 5 most valuable offensive players after the commercial break. And it was a lot harder than picking 5 defensive players. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I agree with you guys. He gets the honorable mention. I didn't have room for him in my top 5. And it's only because of consistency. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson might have had the highest of high all plays. He's also been in there on some of the lowest of low plays. So to me, when I take a look at my top 5, Jordan Davis, TJ Edwards, Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, and Darius Slay, it's more because of the consistency through the first 6 games. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, don't get me wrong, he deserves consideration. He deserves to be in this conversation. I just think he's a little bit more streakier than these other 5 guys I have in there. But I agree, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson playing great football, and he had his best game of the season, I think, this past week with the big 2 interceptions, no doubt about it. So those are my top 5 most valuable Eagles players as we head into the bye week. Nick Walker, it's a beautiful city of Pittsburgh, absolutely. But it's a brotherly love city of Philadelphia that we're feeling and vibing right now. I will say, if you haven't been to Pittsburgh, what a scenic stadium, man. 3 Rivers. Going over that bridge where the 3 Rivers meet. And you've got all those ballparks and stadiums down there. It's so cool. So cool. The city of Pittsburgh, really, really underrated. And they got a lot of good breweries, by the way, in Pittsburgh. It is a great scenic stadium, a great venue to take in a ball game for sure. Definitely recommend it if you haven't. All right. So I thought it would be a good week to do this. Take a look at the top 5 most valuable defensive players. Take a look at the top 5 most valuable offensive players. And then I've got notes from Ric Sirianni's press conference from yesterday. I've also got notes from Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, James Bradbury, Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelce, Darius Slay. They all spoke to the media after the game. I've got notes on notes on notes on notes here at the Football Playbook with your boy, RIC, in the place to be. It's the Football Playbook. It's JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Smash the like button. We're going to pay some bills. We got 1 hour of power down. Another hour of power to go. Counting you down a sports take at noon Eastern time. Buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The faces you know, the team you trust. The Delaware Valley's leading news program, Action News.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Hey, it's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC, and a place to be, Ric Serritella here at the Jersey Shore. Buckle up. We got an hour of power down, an hour of power to go here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Click subscribe, all your show notifications, smash the like button. And yeah, I like me some Philadelphia women over Pittsburgh women in terms of the latest chat room conversation. A little bit more country out there in Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? little bit more country out there in Pittsburgh. Just saying. Philadelphia woman will tell you like it is, says William Stark. But yeah, you got to be careful, with the Philly girls and some of those South Jersey girls, because they'll also rough you up if you get out of line. It's a double chin strap affair when you date a Philly girl. I can tell you that. Adams exploits and Nick Walker can co-sign for that. All right. So, hey, an hour of power down, an hour of power to go. Tomorrow, Ed Kratz and Kayla Santiago checking in with your Bird Gang Talk Thursday. We have our good friend Dane Vandernat from the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. We'll also have our good friend Chris Franklin checking up on the Eagles bye week from the North Star Ledger. We also have Jeffrey Chedida from NFL.com on Thursday. And then Football Friday. Woo! Buckle up. It's a triple chin strap affair on a Football Friday. We've got Coach Eugene Chung. We got Coach John DeFilippo. And we got my guy, Rhett from NFL Network, Rhett Ellison, will be checking in on the Football Friday affair. So, hey, you got RIC in a place to be Monday and Tuesday, but a star-studded lineup the rest of the way here on the Football Playbook. I just broke down my top 5 most valuable defensive players in the last segment. And we're going to break down my top 5 most valuable offensive players, which was a lot tougher, believe it or not. And on defense, I had Slay 1, Bradbury 2, Edwards 3, Reddick 4, and Jordan Davis 5. I get it. Davis doesn't start. He's only played about 30% of the snaps. But to me, he's a difference maker. Okay? It's not who's been the best player, but the most valuable player. And I think there's extreme value when Jordan Davis is on the field. That's some good stock right there to buy into. You're going to see more of it as the season wears on. Now, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a lot of you want to put him in there. I get it. Big plays. He's had a lot of highlights. He's also had some lowlights. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson didn't make it just because of the streaky up and down roller coaster ride, but he's worthy of the conversation. I could slide him in there and swap him out at 5 for Jordan Davis, but Jordan Davis, I just feel like this man doesn't get the kudos he deserves, so I wanted to show him some love. We did hear, surprisingly, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has emerged as the number 1 trash talker on the team, and he's taken that title from Brandon Graham. And I forgot who it was. We talked about it. I can't remember this week or last week. It's all bleeding into one show, but we talked about the biggest trash talkers on the team and some of the teammates saying Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has got Brandon Graham and Darius Slay beat in the trash talking department. So he's number 1 in something, that's for sure. So, all right, let's switch gears to the offense and take a look at RIC top 5 most valuable, not the best, the most valuable players on the offense. And I'll start with the honorable mentions because it was tough. It was really, really tough. And when you take a look at your top 5 most valuable, not the best, most valuable players on offense, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of debates on this one because number 1 runner-up, Dallas Goedert, doesn't crack the top 5. But Goedert has been the Goedert. He's been a Goedert at tight end. Goedert, this guy is the number 1 player in terms of yards after catch in the entire National Football League. Not just in tight ends, not just in receivers, but in the entire NFL. There's nobody better after the catch than Dallas Goedert. But he didn't make the cut. He didn't make the cut. Miles Sanders, we saw it a couple weeks ago, career high, 27 carries. What did he go off for, like $185? Had a really solid game again this past week. He's on pace. He's on pace for about 1,500 yards rushing or so. But Miles Sanders does not make the cut. Sorry. Just doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't move the needle, but he doesn't make the cut. Not on my list. Devonta Smith doesn't make the cut. Sorry. Some really big wow games. Couple games where, he wasn't targeted so much. Couple mediocre games. No doubt about it, Devonta Smith is a top 5 player for the future moving forward with this organization. But not today, as I sit here on October 18th, 2022. Devonta Smith doesn't make the cut. That's because A.J. Brown does. A.J. Brown has been a dynamite addition. And just like James Bradbury's been a difference maker on the defense, this A.J. Brown has taken the Eagles' offense into another stratosphere. And Jalen Hurts' success can be directly attributed to the addition of A.J. Brown, because it's just changed the entire complexion of how to game plan and strategy for this offense. Now, some of the factors that went into this decision-making in terms of my top 5, is the impact, the way the defense has to game plan for you, and to me, outside of Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown is the single most player that opposing defenses have to game plan or account for or strategize against. And so I went diving. I went some deep sea fishing into the stats, and I said, hey, the targets, A.J. Brown, 53. Devonta Smith, 43. Dallas Goedert, 34. So Brown has been targeted most frequently. That's the number 1 target Jalen Hurts is looking for. And then I went and I looked. Who's got the most first down conversions? It's amazing to me. A.J. Brown has 33 catches for 503 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 23 of those 33 catches have gone for first downs. Wow. 23 out of 33? That's almost a 70 percentile. 7 out of 10 catches that A.J. Brown grabs are going for first downs. That's the kind of impact he's had through 6 weeks. So as good as Devonta Smith's been, as good as Miles Sanders has been, and as electrifying as Dallas Goedert has been, especially after the catch, they don't make the cut. A.J. Brown does. And the dynamic, he is the biggest, the baddest, the best Batman of the trio. 23 out of 33 catches for first downs. That's amazing. And I'll tell you this, I had to go and check. Like A.J. Brown, I think he had like 800 and something yards last year. His first 2 seasons in Tennessee, he did break the 1,000-yard barrier, but just barely. Just barely. A.J. Brown has never surpassed 1,100 yards. So he had 2 seasons of 1,000 yards receiving, but never has gone beyond 1,100. Here he is through 6 games. He's got 500 receiving yards. Whoa. He's on pace for like 1,500, 1,600 receiving yards. A.J. Brown's on pace for a career year. So 53 targets, 33 catches, 23 first downs for A.J. Brown. I think we're just going to call him First Down Brown. You like that? You like that kind of party here on the Football Playbook? That's what we do, chopping it up, breaking it down. We get wiggle with it on the Football Playbook. That's what the Eagles pass catchers do in the open field. Whether it's A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goddard, we get wiggle with it, baby. Oh, yak. It's all about that yak. You won't find no Fugazi up in here, Alexander. No Fugazi on the Football Playbook. So I've got A.J. Brown at 5. And the reason why I couldn't sneak Goddard or Miles Sanders or Devonta Smith in there is because the offensive line is just such a staple of this offense. I mean, to me, the Eagles have, hands down, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the NFL. Just one man's opinion. Detroit, they looked pretty good. Detroit looked pretty good. But I don't think anybody is on the same level as the Eagles. Kansas City, they've done a pretty good job of remaking that offensive line. Pretty good. Pretty good. But to me, the Eagles are just on another level. And that's why Lane Johnson is my number 4 most valuable player on the Eagles offense. This guy hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years? Whoa. Ric Serritella in the press conference yesterday called him the best right tackle on the planet. I would tend to agree. If you remember, in our short-lived history here on the Football Playbook back in August, I said it's bogus that Lane Johnson wasn't a top 100 player on that NFL Network list they do. I said, yo, how is the best right tackle in the National Football League not a top 100 player in the National Football League? It doesn't make any sense. Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in football. And you saw Jack Driscoll struggle with Micah Parsons a little bit there when Lane came out. Driscoll did good, but there was a drop-off. There was a drop-off there. And Adams Exploits, thank you for asking. There has not been an update on Lane Johnson's concussion yet. It was one of the first things Sariani was asked about yesterday. He said, we don't have an update yet. But as I alluded to at the top of the show, you got to be concerned anytime you suffer a concussion. But his third one in 5 years, that's a little bit more significant. That's a little bit more serious than a first-time concussion. And that, to me, does put Lane Johnson's status in question for the Steelers. Even though it's 2 weeks away, with the recent fallout with this whole concussion protocol and the NFL, the NFLPA changing the process, there's this 5-stage process and protocol that teams have to get through. Yeah. To me, Lane Johnson, this is a big spotlight on the injury. But to me, he's the 4th most valuable player on this offense. And I do think there's a dip There's a dip when Lane Johnson's not in it. We saw it with Driscoll last week. So Lane Johnson comes in at 4, A.J. Brown at 5. I missed Tone DeShields the second in the chat room, the private chat. 21 of 33 catches for Devonta Smith have also gone for first down. This whole receiving unit are just, call them the chain gang, because 23 out of 33 catches for A.J. Brown have gone for first downs. 21 of 33 for Devonta Smith have gone for first downs. And then Goddard, I think he's got like 23 catches. 17 of his catches have gone for first downs. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. When did Lane Johnson suffer the concussion? I think it was right before the first half, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back through my game notes. I'll try to clarify that after the next break. I think it was right before the first half. The cobwebs, don't quote me on that. The cobwebs, man. I just remember Driscoll and the speed of Micah Parsons was very overwhelming, and it was impressive. It stood out to me. But I think it was right before the first half. We'll clarify that. So to me, Lane Johnson is 4. And just like there's a drop-off, Mulata at 3, the left tackle. I mean, it's the most important position in football. And Jordan Mulata is one of the best in the game. Jordan Mulata, this guy's a stud, man. And we're going to have Eugene Chung on Friday, who, if you remember, back in the 2017 when Mulata was just a young buck, he was like a tadpole trying to grow some legs. And look at how he's evolved over the last 5 years. He's improved and made himself a premier, if not the premier left tackle in football. So to me, the most important position in football is your quarterback. The second most important position in football is your backup quarterback. After that, it's your left tackle. And after that, you can argue it's your right tackle. Back in the day in the NFL, left tackle used to be viewed as a more valuable position than right tackle. To me, they're almost equally important. The way the modern NFL has evolved and the way the modern NFL lines up pass rushers and they mix and they match and they line them up left and they line them up right. Right tackle is equally as important as left tackle, almost neck and neck. And Jordan Mulata has evolved into a premier left tackle in the National Football League. That means something. It means a lot. It means, to me, you're the number 3 most valuable offensive lineman. And yeah, that Monday Night Football, or the Sunday Night Football, Stoutland University was pretty cool, wasn't it? That was pretty cool. Stoutland University is putting 3 players in my top 5 on the map. Top 5 most valuable players on offense entering the bye week. Number 5, A.J. Brown. Number 4, Lane Johnson. Number 3, Jordan Mulata. And you say, Rick, well, if left tackle is the most important position in football, why is Jordan Mulata 3? If Jordan Mulata is arguably the top left tackle or premier left tackle in the NFL, how the heck is he number 3? Well, that's because you got a yellow jacket. Or as our good friend Bob Wiley likes to say, a blue ring. You got a future Pro Football Hall of Fame inductee at center. And for as much as Jalen Hurts is the leader, and I'll get into that in a second, Jalen Hurts is your unquestioned leader of the team, right? No question about it. But I'd have to say Jason Kelce's the heartbeat. Jason Kelce is the pulse. You ever notice when Jason Kelce speaks, everybody else perks up and listens? It's a rare kind of respect that very few, if any, centers ever earn inside a locker room. Very few centers that I can recall, Frank Winters maybe. I'm trying to think of all the great centers in the history of the National Football League. Very few centers can command that kind of presence, that kind of leadership, that kind of respect, right? Sean O'Hara was another good one. Jason Kelce's a great one. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check the mental archive. And there's a lot of draws to file through. I'm trying to think. This is my 21st year covering the NFL. My recollection goes back to the mid-'80s now. Trying to think, have I seen a better center in my lifetime than Jason Kelce? Who are the candidates? It's an interesting conversation. Maybe one I'll revisit later on down the road. But for the point of this conversation, Jason Kelce, to me, is the number 2 most valuable player, not just on the offense, but probably on the team. Because to me, he is the heartbeat. He is the pulse. And if you want a temperature on the Eagles locker room, just go to Jason Kelce. You want a pulse? You want to gauge your temperature? Go to Kelce's. He'll let you know. And you want breaking news, go to Jason Kelce. He's the one, if I recall correctly, he's the one, he gave us the heads up that Dillard would be activated about 2 or 3 days before the rest of the media. Oh, by the way, he may have let the cat out of the bag again after the game. He said, hey, it might make sense for Dillard to just focus on one side of the ball in his return. He was active on Sunday, Dillard was. But they didn't need to call him in. They might need to call him in against Pittsburgh. If Lane Johnson's out, you could see Dillard be focused on that right side. The Kelce bros, both of them, future Hall of Fame inductees. Yes, I agree, William Stark. I have not yet caught an episode of their podcast, however. I think last press conference, Kelce said their podcast episode was like 90 minutes long. I got enough homework assignments here on the Football Playbook to keep up with. I just haven't found the time in my day to secure 90 minutes to listen to the Kelce bros. I'm hoping that I do. Just like I'm hoping that I get down to the Ocean Casino Resorts gallery pre- and post-game one of these days. Go join the gang down there. Just like I'm trying to get out to the Gail Saunders legendary tailgate, and he sent me the text. He sent me the invite this week. What they were in lot C2. Man, what they got like surf and turf, filet mignons. They got lobsters. That Gail Saunders knows how to pregame tailgate. Trying to find my way. And I'm trying to find my way to a Kelsey Brothers podcast episode one of these weeks. So A.J. Brown at 5, Lane Johnson at 4, Jordan Mailata at 3, Jason Kelsey at 2. And yeah, I mean, is there any question who's number 1? Come on, son. Listen, guys. Jordan Mailata came out and said, this guy, Hurts, is the unquestioned leader of the team. He said he's the ultimate leader. Doesn't matter who you are. Rookie, veteran, stud, or in between. Jalen Hurts is going to hold you accountable. And his demeanor, the 17-round heavyweight championship fight mantra that Ric Serritella preaches, it starts and funnels down from Jalen on down. This guy, man, for all the flack, for all the criticism that he took all summer long and continues to take still 6 weeks into the season. Do you know there's people questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback still? Well, let's take a look. He's completed 123 of his 184 pass attempts. That's good for 67%. 66.8 to be exact, which last time I checked, pretty good improvement over last year, 61.3%. That signals pretty good improvement. Okay? Now, he's got 1,500 passing yards through 6 games. Do the math. Jalen Hurts is on pace for 4,500 passing yards. Pretty good. Pretty good. I think he had 3,000 last year. Now, last year, Jalen averaged 7.3 yards per pass attempt. This year, 8.2. Pretty good improvement. Almost a whole yard per pass attempt. Pretty good improvement, if you ask me. So completion percentage has improved. Passing yardage has improved. Passing yardage per attempt has improved. Now, last week, the knock was, hey, Jalen only has 4 touchdown passes. How could he be a franchise quarterback with just 4 touchdown passes? Well, he added a pair against the Cowgirls this past week. 6 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions on the season. Pretty good. Pretty good. He's got 1 interception every 92 attempts. 4th best in the NFL. And we talked about, statistically speaking, historically good. 1 every 50 pass attempts for his career is 13th in the NFL all time. Historically speaking, this guy does not commit turnovers. So that would put him on pace for like 17 or 18 touchdowns, maybe 6 or 7 interceptions. That would be improvement on his touchdown to interception ratio of a year ago, 16-9. His rating, I think, was somewhere around 84 last year. This year, 98.4. Again, improvement across the board, guys. Every single category. You want to go off the field stats and tangibles? I don't know if there's been a better quarterback in the NFL than Jalen Hurts. And that's why he's my number one. Number one most valuable player on your Eagles. And a top 3 most valuable candidate in the NFL. And that's because you do have to take into account his rushing production. The one stat I don't like through 6 games is 77 rushing attempts, because that's almost more than half of his season total from a year ago. He ran the ball 139 times last year for 784 yards. That was a 5.6 rushing average, and he had 10 rushing touchdowns. This year, 77 for 293, 3.8 yards per carry. A lot of that because of the short yardage. 6 touchdowns. So he's on pace for close to 1,000 yards rushing, about 15 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, that's the one number that I don't like. 77 rushing attempts. That would put him on pace for about 225 rushes. That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of accumulation of hits. And yeah, William Stark. Stats are stats. But it is the intangibles that puts Jalen Hurts over the edge. No doubt about it. But you got to measure something. And another thing that Ric Serritella and company are doing during the bye week, they're having preliminary conversations. The discussion is there. Hey, what's Jalen's contract looking like? What's that guaranteed number looking like? How many years are we going to offer Jalen in the offseason? That conversation is happening right now as we speak. It's being thought about. It's being talked about. And it's not a matter of if they decide Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback. No. It's a matter of how much are they willing to go? How much are they willing to offer? I think those numbers are being calculated this week. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Before we do, Frank Gradia, welcome to the show, says, what's your answer to Cowgirls fans saying they would have won with Dak at quarterback? Well, my answer is, come see me Christmas Eve. Come see me Christmas morning, and we'll find out. Because there will be no more time for excuses come the second go around. It'll be in Big D. You'll have your franchise quarterback back in the saddle. Okay. Philadelphia could ask, what would the score look like with a healthy offensive line? What does the score look like then? So it goes both ways. What's it look like? We'll find out. See me on Christmas morning. That's my answer to the Cowgirls. Come see me on Christmas. And I hate to tell you, William, I think you're going to see the Cowgirls a third time come January. I think you'll see them late December, and I think you'll see them again come January. Hey, Ric Serritella here, you out there. This is the Football Playbook. It's our 36th episode. Make sure you hit the like button, click subscribe, JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We got Sports Take coming up at noon. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break, pay some bills. When we come back, I got notes on notes on notes in the Football Playbook. Talk about that Ric Sariani press conference, some of the Eagles who met with the media. We got Monday Night Football notes. I got NFL news and notes from around the league. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked. Keep it cranking in the chat room. We'll be back right after this.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC, and a place to be here at the Jersey Shore. You out there watching, tuned in on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Click subscribe, smash the like button. Bringing you down the home stretch here, leading you up to the sports take at noon Eastern. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks will be holding it down until 3 o'clock, and then Big Sills getting Sills with it 3 to 6. Hey, 12 hours of daily Eagles talk here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, but nobody does it bigger, better, or baddest than the Football Playbook. Hey, Monday Night Football, we'll get into some of that. I got some news and notes from around the league. Robbie Anderson getting traded. We'll get into that. Jake Fromm signing with your Washington Commanders. Hopefully we don't have time to get into that. But let's talk a little bit about the Nick Sariani press conference. And if you're just tuning in, you can always go back and get the replay and the archives here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Tone DeShields II, our producer behind the scenes, sometimes on the scene, does a great job of archiving all of our segments and our shows. So that's why it's smart to subscribe to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. But I opened up, talked about the Eagles schedule and, some of the potential losses there. Also got into our most valuable defensive players and most valuable offensive players so far through the bye week. And then yesterday, Ric Serritella met with assembled media for about 25 minutes or so. And of course, again, if you're just tuning in, Lane Johnson in the concussion protocol, I think, is the biggest storyline during the bye week because it's his third concussion in 5 years. And so you wonder, with the new protocol that the NFL and NFLPA have implemented, what that timeline looks like. And will he be back for the Steelers? Ric Serritella yesterday saying they did not have an update, but when and if Lane is healthy, it'll be Lane Johnson ready to go in the starting lineup. No doubt about it. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a lot of you guys wanted to put him in the top 5 most valuable defensive players. He was my 6th guy on the outside looking in. They asked him about why he's blended in so quickly, how he's been brought up so fast. And he said, hey, this guy has blended in from day one. He's just highly competitive. He's been accepted by the veterans. And because of the leadership, that leadership mentality, they kind of just embraced him early on, welcomed him in like family, and it shows. The terminology we talked about, he's still learning some of that. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, as good as it gets, through 6 weeks for, having 7 or 10 days to prepare for the week 1 kickoff. Come on. This bye week, he will get his studies up. And Sariani talked about that. He's already requested some data analytics studies that he specifically wanted to see the breakdowns, and he'll diagnose and study that during the bye week. He said, this is the time for self-scouting. They've done a lot of self-scouting this week. The Steeler preparation will begin tomorrow on Wednesday. He said, we'll continue to self-scout. Today will be a lot of self-scouting amongst the coaching staff. Tomorrow will be a self-scouting and opponent scouting for the Steelers, for players. He said Thursday, if he's in a good mood, the players might have a day off, and we'll see how he feels on Thursday. The self-scouting will continue with the coaches all week long during the bye week, but there is a possibility of a player day off. I don't know how you don't give the players a day off now that you leaked it to the media on Monday, Nick. Chances are word will circle back, and so now they'll be anticipating the players' day off, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good. You heard Slay say, hey, he can't wait to get back home on a flight and go see his son. He hasn't seen his son play a high school football game yet. So it's good. It's good to reset, get home with family. Kelsey said, hey, I'm loving it with the ankle injury. I'm loving the bye week. Lane Johnson's probably loving it too. So to Tone's point, maybe this week 7 bye is a healthy thing for the Eagles to get it right, get it tight. I alluded to this at the top of the show. Second half adjustments. Keep the foot on the pedal. All gas, no brakes. 21 points per game in the first half this year. Only 6 points per game, 5.8 to be exact, in the second half. That number has got to improve or be balanced out if they want to have thoughts about returning back to the desert come February. 2-score leads in every game. Sariani said, we just haven't been able to finish it off. We've kind of stalled out. We'll reassess that. In terms of having turnover success, I think the Eagles are plus 12 in the turnover differential. If it's not number 1 in the league, it's near the top. He said, hey, big emphasis on strip sack fumbles. Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, you see the way they attack the quarterback on these strip sack fumbles. That's been coached. Jamal Singleton, he singled out the running back coach on the offense, works with all the offensive players on fundamentals, technique, carrying the football. Jamal Singleton, he went out of his way to praise and give kudos, not just Miles Sanders on coaching the running backs, but he did say Miles Sanders has done the best job of just being coached up on fundamentals. Miles Sanders has done a great job. Jalen Hurts has been smart. He's put an emphasis on taking care of the football, ball security, fundamentals, and Jamal Singleton working with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith specifically. He said Coach Singleton has got that Air Force Academy background, so he's very disciplined, and he's been a difference maker working with all of the offensive players on the technique, the fundamentals of ball security. It's a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. You heard Melvin Gordon after Monday Night Football last night say, hey, nobody mentioned to me why I was benched. Nobody spoke to me about why I was benched. Melvin, hello, earth to Melvin. It's because you fumble, brother. You put the ball on the carpet too much. That's why you were benched last night. Yeah. William Stark, yeah, when you're 6-0, Sariani talked about the luxury. He said it's not like we don't get after these things when we're not 6-0, but he said when you're undefeated, it kind of, nobody's feelings are hurt, right? Like everybody's riding high and everybody's looking to get better. That's what they're doing heading into the bye week. He did acknowledge punt return, punt coverage units, kickoff coverage units, a lot of room for improvement. A lot of room for improvement. And I saw a question earlier in the chat. Is Michael Clay, the special teams coach, on the hot seat? Might he get fired? I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we need to do drastic housekeeping changes at 6-0, but the special teams has to get better. Sariani said right now the concern is low. I can't say the concern is high, but it's greater than low for me. I'll put it lukewarm. I'm not a big fan of the coverage units. I hate to say it, guys. I'm not a huge fan of Britton Covey. Maybe on a rebuilding team, not a team built to go deep into the playoffs and make a Super Bowl run. Covey's not getting it done. He did say Reed Blankenship has been, Reed Blankenship and Nakobe Dean set big time hits up. And he singled them out. He said this week, Nakobe Dean on that kickoff, first play of the game, made a big hit to set the tone. Same deal with Reed Blankenship the week before on the opening kickoff. Reed Blankenship setting the tone. So two guys that don't see a lot of snaps on the regular on defense, setting the tone on special teams. Big hits by Reed Blankenship and Nakobe Dean. Tone centers. In terms of Jordan Davis, he talked about the veteran leadership. Fletcher Cox was the most excited guy on the team when they drafted Jordan Davis. He said when they signed James Bradbury, Darius Slay was the most excited player on the team. He said when they signed Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham was the most excited player on the team. He said the veteran leadership and mentorship is just through the roof on this team. And that's when he went on to say that Darius Slay has been one of the biggest or the best leaders he's ever been around. Slay knows what it takes. These veterans know what it takes, and they are not going to let the foot off the gas pedal. And then he goes on and says, it's more than football, right? It's more than just football. This team has the intangibles. Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelsey, Darius Slay have the off-field intangibles, not just the on-field leadership mentality, but the mentorship, right? Leadership and mentorship, it's two different things. Leadership, I think, applies more to the on-field. Mentorship applies more to off the field. The Eagles have all of that going on for them right about now. Yes, Miles Sanders stated, Frank Gradia, Miles Sanders, your mouth to God's ears. He said, we have yet to play a full game. That's what's scary for the rest of the 31 other teams. Miles Sanders said, hey, we have yet to play our best game yet. And you got an inkling, maybe just a little, for the first time, that maybe, just maybe, Miles Sanders might be willing to take a home team discount in the offseason. Maybe, just maybe. He said, I love the city, love the community, love it here. You just got to embrace the atmosphere. He said the Lincoln Financial Field was rocking like you never heard it before on Sunday. He did say, Eagles fans, you need to tone it down, pipe down just a little bit when we're on offense, please. But you got a sense, maybe, just maybe, Miles might be willing to take that home team discount to stay. He said, this is my favorite place to play. I love the city. I love the community. You see him involved, embedded in the community on those Tuesday offs. Everything is clicking. And I saw another question, Frank, should they explore a trade? Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yes, you should constantly look to improve the bottom of the roster. I talk about it all the time. Every NFL team is looking to churn and improve roster spots 47 to 53. Yeah, I would explore that this week. Absolutely. Not sure they need a running back. Cam Akers, oh, by the way, is available. Christian McCaffrey, oh, by the way, is available. But I'm not sure they need a running back. I did like the conversation we had earlier in the week. Brian Burns from Carolina, if he's available, I would explore that. Yes. Mark in the chat room. Great minds aligning once again. Brian Burns would be good. I would like that kind of party. Hey, Melvin Gordon benched last night. Maybe he's available. Not sure I want to go that direction either. By the way, that Monday Night Football game, just to recap it here as we wind down, Russell Wilson, full of excuses. Now he's blaming a pulled hamstring. 15 for 28, 188 passing yards last night. Denver now 2-4 after giving up 5 draft picks and paying this guy $50 million a year. He stinks. In fact, the Seahawks are laughing. They got a better record and a better quarterback. Geno Smith is playing better than Russell Wilson. So the Chargers and Brandon Staley pull it out. They go to 4-2 in overtime, 19-16. They pull out the victory over the Broncos. And I see you guys in the chat room. A return guy would be pretty good. You don't have to give up a trade. You can roll the dice, try to catch lightning in the bottle with Deshaun Jackson, because he came out and said, I'm not retired. In fact, I'd love to play. Sign me up, Philadelphia. He called out your Philadelphia Eagles. To me, that could be an upgrade, potentially. If not, so be it. I'd be willing to roll the dice. Oh, by the way, I mentioned Robbie Anderson was sent to the shower early on in that Panthers game during their loss against the Rams. Steve Wilkes, former Arizona coach, now the interim, sent Robbie Anderson mid-game to the lot. They just want to get rid of anybody connected to Matt Rule at this point. They gave up Robbie Anderson for a 6th-round pick in 2024 and a 7th-round pick in 2025. What's interesting about this one, Nuke Hopkins returns this week. Hollywood Brown, reports are he could be out for the season. He could be out in Arizona. They just traded for him. But now with the acquisition of Robbie Anderson, who will make $12 million next year, and DeAndre Hopkins scheduled to make $20 million next year, there might not be room for Hollywood Brown, who has a $13 million club option. I don't think there's going to be enough money to go around for all three of those guys to return next year. So a little bit of a head-scratching move by Arizona, but I already told you they're frauds. That team's a fraud. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury will even be back there next year to see it all. So a couple news and notes. Jake Fromm signing with the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz out for at least a month, maybe 2. Maybe his career is over. Maybe Carson Wentz will be suiting up, slinging the rock in the XFL. Just saying. With that being said, my friends, this has been the Football Playbook with Ric Serritella. This is our 36th episode. Oh, by the way, 198 days until the 2023 NFL Draft. Go to NFLDraftBible.com for your can't stop, won't stop coverage there. This has been a Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll have Ed Kratz from Eagles Today, part of the Sports Illustrated Familia. Kayla Santiago from DeMelva Sports checking in tomorrow, as well as we continue to get you through the bye week blues. It's a can't stop, won't stop situation. Stay tuned for the Sports Take guys coming up here in about 30 seconds or so. If you're locked in the chat room, YouTube channel, keep it locked. Don't stop. Hit the like button. We'll try to do better tomorrow, everybody.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.